Oh, stop, Denji, stop. That freak.
Pain.
Oh, I don't want to work with this chick. Oh, hey, she's got boobs too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Life is Daijoubu, the Chainsaw Man special episode 2. My name is Cole. I'm joined by Skylar.
Hello.
And Thane.
Chainsaw. No, I'm not gonna say it.
Yikes! He was about to put some of that chainsaw into that. I don't even. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Today we're covering Chainsaw Man episode 2 of the anime, as well as the most latest episode or chapter of the manga, which is chapter
107. Wow.
Thing was right.
I just threw that out there.
Chapter 107. The first half will be talking about the anime without any spoilers, and the second half of the episode will be with anime spoilers, or rather with manga spoilers, and then at the very end we'll be getting into the chapter 107. Yeah, I mean, nothing new to report on. I know last week had a lot of extra stuff to talk about because it was episode 1, and I think from here on out the episodes are going to be like pretty quick and easier, just because we don't have a lot of like initial thoughts where it's mostly just continuing on. So right at the get-go, I'm going to just explain which chapters that it went over. It went over chapter 2 through 5.5. So it didn't finish chapter 5. It got about halfway through chapter 5 and then ended. And they also skipped a part of chapter 2. And that part of chapter 2 will be completely unadapted. It will probably most likely never be adapted. I doubt they'd ever go back and do anything with that, to be honest. At the very end of the episode, or when we get into the manga, or right before the manga spoilers, I'll tell you what they didn't adapt, so that you can, if you don't want to see that, you can skip that. So if you're looking at the video feed, we got about this much of a volume in the entire episode, and that's it. Yeah. So about a little over a third of the volume in the episode. So it covered chapter 2 through 5.5. Which I actually thought it was good pacing, honestly. I thought it was paced pretty well. I was nervous that it was going to be very, very quick. But even though it covered so much material, it wasn't super, super quick. It felt pretty genuinely good, I think. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought
that's it?
I thought the pacing was fine. Well, are we talking about just the pacing? I have other thoughts.
I guess you can just go into the other thoughts, too. So, that was the segues, guy. Come on.
I see. What I thought was interesting, like I said, I really like Denji's character because he's such a blank slate. Like, he's literally, there's nothing to him, really. And in this episode, we get to see that even more so, is Denji cares about two things. He cares about food, and he cares about effing. And that's literally all this man cares about right now.
He wants to touch boobs.
Like Makima's talking to him and saying, or Aki's there too. Aki's a good guy. He got introduced. But Maki was talking to him, and she's like, yeah, well, he is like a partial devil, so if he runs away, just kill him. And
he's like, okay.
Yeah, and then she's like, basically, Denji, you're just going to work for us until you die. And Denji doesn't even give an F. He doesn't even bat an eye.
This is effing incredible.
Yeah, he's like,
my life couldn't have been better.
I got food. I can take a bath. I got a hot chick I'm working with.
It's super interesting because, like, obviously, none of us have been in the circumstance where people just hate us, don't give a crap about us, and don't nothing to do with us.
Working from job to job,
basically. And so, like, it's hard to relate to that. It's hard to put yourself in Denji's shoes, but I think it becomes easier later on as the series progresses. But right now, it's literally just like, this man has no clue about what's good about life. And so as soon as something even minorly good happens, it's incredible for him.
I mean, I can't relate to Oscar Schindler, but...
I mean, I guess you don't have to relate to all protagonists of all shows or movies or TV shows or whatever.
I don't really relate to characters, but I can sympathize if I see their situations like, that's sad. You know, I feel sad for this character. Like, I don't really look for relations. It sounds like that kind of sounds weird. It's like, oh, relatability is important, but it's like I'm kind of like it's like a fictional character, and I'm separate. It's a fictional character with a pre-written disposition.
I like relatability. I like it when I can find ways that I'm similar to a character.
I mean, yeah, if a character does relate to me, it's like, wow, I've been in that situation. That hits deep, but
I think that's why it's good though, because it hits deeper on a more, I guess, emotional level.
But if they don't relate, at least I can have the fallback on. I can sympathize.
See, and I think that's what makes Denji such a good character, in my opinion, though, is like, obviously his circumstances, there are human beings that are in those situations or even in worse situations. But I guess for me personally, like you already said, Cole, and I guess I could speak for all three of us, we've never really been in something like that. But seeing how much gratitude that he has just for a freaking 3 jars of different jams and a little block of butter that he puts on toast, and he just eats it up with a little bit of cinnamon, I guess. Like seeing how, I don't know, just seeing somebody being grateful for their little piece of garbage makes me kind of reflect on my own life and makes me thankful for, like, wow, I do have a job and I can make money and I have a house and I can pay rent and I have, like, I can do YouTube and lots of different things. So I guess for me, it kind of makes me do some self-reflecting, and it's like, dang, like, my life really isn't that bad. Obviously, like Thane already mentioned, this is a fictitious character, but still, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Speaking of that scene, I think the most like interesting part of that scene is where Aki's there. He's watching it basically happen. He basically represents the viewer in that moment, where we're just like, that's freaking gross, Denji. Don't eat all that stuff. Don't put it all together. That's not going to be very good. But as soon as he starts taking a bite of it, he's like, this is freaking incredible. And it's literally just because he's never had anything like it. It's, because like normally you just put one type of jam on the bread or toast or whatever, call it a day.
It's like a video where they rescue a kid from like Africa, where it's like a impoverished country. Then they bring him to a more livable place, and he feels happy.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a little more on the edge, like a homeless man finally like gets shelter. He gets food and stuff, and you
basically
see the joy.
Gets not just the necessities of life, but like a step above the necessities of life. Because Denji had the necessities basically, but the step up is really like opened his whole world.
It was no ideal way to live. It was
totally
horrible
not.
Way to live.
Bare necessities, I guess.
See, and another character building moment too for me is like the one scene where he kills that first fiend, and Aki's like, dude, why didn't you chop him up? And he's like, well, I just wanted to, like, that could have been me. I wanted to give him like a good goodbye, I guess, or whatever. And as soon as Aki leaves, he's like, I don't care about friends. Like, I just didn't want to get blood on the porn.
It's interesting because you can interpret that multiple ways. Like, you could interpret that because Aki basically just makes fun of him as soon as he says that. Uh-huh. So you can interpret Denji basically like trying to build himself back up, rebuild his confidence after that by saying that, when everything he said prior could be 100% how he was feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
It's super. That was like a human-esque characteristic.
Yeah, because I think they make you think that Denji doesn't care about having friends. He's like, because he says to Aki, well, if it's a devil or a person, I just want friends. You know what I mean? Like, I'm paraphrasing, but along those lines. And then as soon as Aki leaves, he just grabs the porn. He's like, no, I don't care. I just didn't want to get blood on this. Yeah. But like, after I watched that, I was like, no, I think he does kind of mean it. Obviously, he's just saying it to us, the audience, but
makes himself feel better about getting made fun of for thinking that way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the other thing too, though, is Denji. Like, Aki saw that right there when you asked him. He's like, did you not go to school? Like, Denji's literally just a child. And
he's just like, no.
Yeah.
No.
and Aki's just like, oh, okay. Interesting.
Also, like, I think in that moment, why would you just waste your power on one fiend when, like, easily you could be chopped down with an axe?
Oh, yeah, totally. I think I think that was Denji's main reason for not doing it, just because it would probably hurt him a lot to have chainsaws come out of him just for one freaking dude. Like, it makes sense why he didn't transform right then and there.
Yeah, and obviously Aki doesn't understand. Like, he's never seen it, so he doesn't know what it entails.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Earlier in the episode, Denji's like, I'm out of blood. I'm tired.
Because he just got done doing the transformation. He's basically out of blood.
And I think that's a good setup, too, though. Obviously, I don't know if that's in the manga. It probably is, but that lets the audience know that like there are repercussions for Denji transforming. It's not just like I can be Chainsaw Man and kill anything anytime I want.
Yeah.
There are. It's like when we talked about during that one episode of Life is Daijoubu when we were doing the skeleton one where you're like he could use magic forever. There's no repercussions or there's no like give or take. There's
this
no
one you can
equivalency.
clearly see it.
Yeah.
I think later on he does talk about how it hurts to have the chainsaws come out of him, and I don't think he's brought it up at the beginning yet. But that does. I'm pretty dang sure he brings that up later on. So you're not wrong. That is really cool to see that there are, I guess, quote unquote repercussions or ways that his abilities are nerfed, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, there's the
consequences.
Consequences, yeah.
Consequences to his powers. All in all, though, I would think it's a pretty solid episode. I mean, it's basically just introductions to the main cast. We had the introductions to the series in episode 1. And now we have the introduction to the main cast. Did you have any other thoughts on it, Thane?
Realistically, even if you were to chop off the head, the blood spray would possibly get on the porn.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. It definitely, there's definitely a possibility.
But the fact that miraculously there's no blood on the porn, Denji, I guess, was just a lucky, horny.
You do got to remember,
bastard.
though, he is kind of, he has practice in killing fiends.
Oh.
They're not fiends, but all devils and stuff.
Yeah.
Not fiends specifically, but devils just in general. So he does know a little bit of how to do it because, he did use Puchita to do it and stuff, and he would hunt them earlier.
It was funny. Why didn't you tell Aki? It's like, well, I've had experience before I found Makima. It's like...
He's a child. He doesn't care. Like he wouldn't think of
he wouldn't think to say I got experience. I already know how to do this. I did wanted to say one more thing about the episode is, when you're reading the manga and you see the scene where Denji's kicking the crap out of Aki's balls, you're just like, oh, haha, funny. But then when you see it animated, you're really just like, oh, stop, Denji, stop, that freaking, and then he just gets up and just keeps going, dude. I'm like, Denji, no.
The ding sound effect.
The ding sound effect every time. You're like, please, Denji, no.
And then Aki's like, you weren't kidding when you said nuts or nothing.
Yeah, dude. Freaking Aki's never going to have kids, dude. Yeah. Gosh, just boom, 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 boom.
Sorry, real quick. The last thing I wanted to mention, too, this is another thing with Denji, is like, even though he is dumb, for a lack of a better term, like he's just very inexperienced when it comes to lots of things because he's never experienced it.
This is more realistic, is where some shonen characters are given like a lot of things, like Naruto, and he's like, I'm just gonna be dumb because that's my character. But Denji, he's literally did not have an education.
Oh yeah.
Did not have
circumstances. He's
did not have normal human communication.
Yeah, but
he's like a monkey, like being introduced to another pack of monkeys.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess piggybacking off of that, like Denji is stupid, but he's a very perceptive idiot, and we see this throughout this episode clever. Specifically. Yeah, like he sees a fiend. This is a really minor one. He sees the fiend, but he notices the porn. You know what I mean? If you saw a bloodthirsty monster in front of you, most people would be like...
Yeah, you wouldn't see the freaking mags on the ground right away.
Yeah, and then another, like, anytime he talks to Makima, like, right from the very beginning, he's like, is she a bad guy? Like, he asks Aki that. So he's very perceptive. And then the last thing that I noticed, too, was he is very observant of everybody around him, and he is trying to understand their motivations, where he's like, Aki probably wants to get revenge. Makima's doing her thing, and he's like, what's my purpose?
Exactly.
And so then he just decides, I want to grab a boobie.
That's my thing.
That's my purpose.
You know, a lot of shonen protagonists, it's like, I would be king of the pirates. I would be king of the ninjas.
I'm gonna be kill all the titans.
Yeah.
I want boobie.
I want booba.
But it's just interesting too, though, because like this man, he kind of has a one-track mind, or in my head, it just doesn't take much to distract him. Like, he was suspicious of Makima. She gives him a coat and food, and he's like,
well,
I love this.
And
I love her.
Ask Aki, is she okay? Like, yeah, she's okay. I'm like, okay, let's go. I got food too, so it's great.
And then while Makima's briefing him on, like, you are going to get a new partner, he's conspiring in his head of how he's going to touch a boobie. You know what I mean? Like, but I just...
that's another scene, though, because as soon as Power gets in, he's like, I don't want to work with this chick. Oh, hey, she's got
Booby.
boobs too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm into it.
So I don't know. It's just interesting though. Like I said, I think it's cool because Denji's he's a smart dummy.
I will say there's one more thing on episode 1 actually that I want to point out that really solidifies that fact. When the person says, "Hey, I'll give you $1 if you eat the cigarette," he puts his mouth, and as soon as they drive away, he spits it out. He's like, "I'm not gonna freaking eat a cigarette. I just want the money."
Yeah.
And he did it. He got the money. Like he won. Good job.
He's kind of like a dog.
He's clever. Like he knows what he's doing, but he's very dog-like. No doubt about that.
He's a border collie.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've always liked Denji, especially like reading the manga, but I think it's another reassuring reminder is probably a better word. It's another reminder of like his character. Yes, he's very stupid at times, but he's a smart idiot too. So it's like I don't know. It's just interesting that we're getting this from the very beginning with the character. Like I don't think there's much left to Denji. Literally, it's all laid out. So it's just interesting seeing how his brain functions, I guess.
Yeah. So before we get into the manga, like full-on manga spoilers,
We'll call it the Chainsaw Folk section.
well, I guess because that's where I got a lot of this. Like, I remembered that they did skip this, but I'm gonna double check with the internet and stuff. Anyway, so if you're interested in what the anime does skip, we're gonna talk about that right now. But we won't talk about actual manga spoilers other than the stuff that was actually skipped. After that, we'll let you know when the manga spoilers will be coming. So. What this skipped in episode 2 was in chapter 2 of the manga. There's this scene while they're getting food that this little girl essentially gets attacked by a devil, the muscle devil, and Denji runs off and kind of like chases after that. Actually, I think Makima might tell him to go save him. So Denji goes out there and he fights the muscle devil and kills it. And the girl wasn't the girl was the muscle devil. It's kind of sad. It's really depressing actually. This is the quick like scenario that happens, but he kills it and then he gets away and then he goes back and eats the food. It's basically the scene when Denji falls over and the scene when they first pull up to the stand. In between those two things, that's when that would have taken place. So him falling over takes place after he goes and fights again as Chainsaw Man. Really showing that he does have that loss of blood. So that's kind of where that fits into place, but it still works without it. It's not necessarily needed.
Well, I think it's world building too for just how freaking messed up the world
is.
I
think that's really what it is. Because like the little girl's basically like somebody did something bad to her. So Denji's like, oh freak, this isn't good. Then all of a sudden you find out that the little girl was taken over by the muscle devil and you're just like, oh freak. And so Denji kills it.
Yeah.
So it's sad, but it is what it is. But that's all they skipped over. That was just part of chapter 2.
Might be adapted later. I have a feeling that scene could possibly be.
I doubt it does. I doubt it's adapted. Because they just have to fit it in randomly. At this point, why bother? It's literally, it would take like 5 minutes of screen time, and it's just world building. It's not actually like character development. Because all of the character development that takes place during that, we got at a different time.
And just thinking about the pacing of the episode we just watched, like that would be a little weird to fit that in there.
And then more adaptation stuff I did notice, where episode 1 is basically a 1-to-1 recreation. Episode 2 starts to branch off more into adaptation territory, where they do different things to transition scenes. They do different shots instead of just manga panel shots. They did a little bit in 1 with the fight scene, for example, but everything else that wasn't just the fight scene was basically 1-for-1.
So I'm assuming they also have to add a lot more dialogue. Is that true as well?
No, it's mostly the same dialogue. It's just portrayed differently and
rewritten a little bit.
Reorganized, yeah. It's interesting to see the different translations as well between the two. So one example is when Denji first is like, I'm going to touch boobs or whatever. It cuts to Makima, and she's just like, boobs? Or whatever.
Yeah.
He's talking about melons in the manga, and so that's why it cuts to the panel with Makima, and she goes, melons? And so it's literally the same thing. That's what they were implying, but they just were very literal with the subtitle anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. So we can move on into complete full-on manga spoilers, and after that we'll just talk a little bit about chapter 107. So this is your final warning for manga spoilers. Don't continue forward if you do not want manga spoilers.
Is everyone gone?
Okay, I think they're all gone. We're ready to go.
Come on in. All all right, this is my dick.
Jeez.
What chapter's that in?
There's a little chainsaw growing
Yeah.
out of it. So I just wanted to point out this is you're not wrong, Sky, when you're pointing out how Denji was suspicious of Makima, which is super interesting. And Denji has like this sort of like not care about her relationship with her throughout the entire series, really. There's a point after this arc that we're coming into where they go to the hotel and fight the what is it, the Eternity Devil, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
They fight the Eternity Devil. After that, Denji's like says something like, what happens if Aki dies? Would I care? What happens if Power dies? Would I care? If Makima died, would I care? And he's like, yeah, not really about any of them. And so like that kind of just tells you he doesn't really care about Makima. She's kind of just supplying it with the things that he wants.
See, and what I guess to add to that too, though, is like I think Denji, it's just that whoever gives him stuff, he's like, okay, he's literally a dog. If you're gonna pet him,
Totally.
he will be right at your lap
Totally.
and take your petting. But if somebody else is gonna
The
pet him
opening-
or offer him a little bit more of a treat, he's gone.
The opening literally has him being walked as a leash by.
There's one shot of him being
Yeah.
walked on a leash by Makima.
Yeah, it's during the bowling scene where it's the bowling screen. It shows Power in a bikini, and you see right in the background.
He's getting walked.
Yeah.
And that's very, very apparent too. Like even later on, like Rezi or Reese, I don't know how you say her name. Whenever she joins in, like
That's the one he kisses, right?
oh yeah, that's the one he kisses. Like
bites his tongue off.
whenever she joins into the actual like show or whatever, like he just completely goes, okay, I don't need Makima anymore. I got this chick now. It just completely just drops that and just goes to this. So it's super interesting that he is wary of her, but just because she was being nice to him, that he just like, whatever, I don't care. Doesn't matter if she's evil or not. He's just whatever, just down with it.
You know, another thing too that jumped out to me, and you're gonna have to remind me of this, Cole, because I don't remember or if it even talks about it. But Aki said that Makima saved him. Does it talk about how she saved him?
It's probably just from like depression or something like that.
Okay.
I don't quite remember what it would be, but like she wasn't there when his house got shot up by the gun devil.
Which is interesting. Just that
Yeah.
whole she saves him, but then Aki
Like
ends
he was a
up-
little kid when it got shot up. And
Yeah.
he didn't turn into a devil hunter until a couple years after that. So I'm assuming he was just like, I don't know exactly what it implies.
It's kind of
I just know that he's into her because she's the control devil.
Yeah.
And she's controlled him to basically be into her.
Yeah. It's just sad though that like he doesn't really ever get his revenge.
Not really, does he? He kind of
No.
becomes the
Yeah.
the thing you wanted to kill.
Yeah, I know, and that's like I guess kind of the point I was trying to imply is like he said that she saved him, but she's also the one that like kills him too.
Yeah.
So in a roundabout way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's super tragic when you really think about it, though, because like the entire time he's just going after the gun devil, and the gun devil's literally what he becomes. He becomes what he wanted to destroy, and then does a lot more damage after the fact, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was just how Makima specifically says that the reason why she knows that Denji isn't like just a devil or a fiend is because she can smell two different scents within him. She can smell the human scent and the devil scent, which obviously she's smelling Puchita and she's smelling Denji separately. And obviously that comes in later, like the very, very end, like the last fight scene is basically how he's able to win the fight is because Denji realized that she was only ever interested in Chainsaw, and that's why she didn't recognize Denji or anything. She rarely says Denji's name ever anyway as well. Like hardly ever does she ever call him Denji.
She
Calls
did,
him doggy.
She did say it this episode though. She said, "I'm into the Denji kind of guys."
Yeah.
Which
Wow.
maybe she's just not perceptive enough to realize that Denji. She probably is that Denji wants and actually cares about that. He wants people
that's
to
just
like
it's
his
control
Denji
devil.
side.
That's just control devil stuff. Just because she doesn't have to like do the contract stuff to be a control devil. She can just be controlling, and she knew that if she said that, she'd have Denji in the palm of her hands.
And I guess she doesn't have to really say it. You're right. She doesn't have to say it from there on out. But it's just interesting though that they brought it up twice. Both episodes they brought up Makima's smelling ability.
You won't hear about that until the very end, by the way. That's the last time you hear that she smells. The only like closest next thing is just her bite or whatever that we see probably in the next episode where she bites his finger or whatever. But yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I'll try to look out for more little foreshadowing things like that, but for the most part, that's the big one right there.
I was gonna bring something up,
Go
but
for it.
I forgot about what it was.
I think I'm excited for Power. Like I loved her and Denji's chemistry.
Especially like the scene where she was feeling him up, and it turns out her boobs are fake.
Got him.
You're gonna have to remind me though. I thought that she was introduced the whole cat scenario where he had to go help her find her cat.
It's literally right after this. It's next episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how she was introduced in the manga though, same
Yep.
way?
One for one. They even fight I guess rather she smashes the thing with the hammer the same
And
way.
then they get in trouble because she said, "Hey, you're not supposed to. What was it? You're not supposed to help.
You're not supposed to interfere with the other devil hunters."
Couldn't they just say, "Hey, we're official devil. You want us to take over?"
Well, I mean, they weren't supposed to be like on public streets to begin with.
Oh,
They're supposed to stay away just because of her horns or whatever.
yeah.
So that's kind of why they were staying away, but she just jumped the gun and killed it.
I guess that was another smelling thing they brought up too. Power was like, "Well, I smell this. I smell like this." So
She smells blood.
Yeah. Well, she smells blood, but she says that her smell makes other devils walk or run away from her.
She was
or
just
something.
lying.
Okay.
She was just trying to.
She's being cocky.
She's very cocky and lying the entire time. She always says things like, "I'm the greatest thing in the world." Like that's kind of just one of the things. She's like during my reread, it was just like, wow. I don't know why people like Power as much as they do. I'm kind of not into her. She's just lies. She's just not fun. She just has her moments occasionally, but for the most part, she's kind of annoying. I'm not a huge fan of her.
Yeah, I like her too, but I
She's
guess
good. Don't
after
get
the
me wrong,
rewatch,
but like she literally like half the stuff she says, just shut up, Power. You're not even telling the truth. You're just making BS up.
okay, that makes sense because I thought they were making a big deal about it, but because Denji's like, "Oh damn, Aki, that's why he put me with her because I'm not gonna see any action."
Yeah, I mean he just assumed. Well, then he
Yeah.
doesn't know that she's a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I guess the audience wouldn't know if they've never read it either. Like I said, I don't remember. It's been
Yeah,
so long,
yeah.
but-
And like, what? Okay, I don't want to say I dislike Power. By the way, to put this clear, I do like Power. I think she's a good character. It's just in my opinion, she's a bit. I don't think she's as good as everyone always
So
thinks she
Makima
is.
should have been number 1 on the popularity poll.
Well, I don't know.
Actually, I don't like the concept of popularity polls.
I don't super love any of the characters, to be honest. If anything, I like Aki the best.
The popularity poll that they had, it had like a bunch of characters in the front that wasn't Denji, and Denji was like number 5. And then they had the Reddit post where it's like all the crossed off characters that were killed on the popularity
Yeah,
poll. And there's only
yeah.
3 left. There was Denji,
Gobeni.
Gobeni, and the tentacle guy. I can't remember his name. What's like? Wait, he was number 10. He
The
was only in
octopus
like
guy?
one scene.
I can't remember his name,
Yeah.
and he's still in the manga today.
He's
but
like,
I don't remember.
he was like, I remember. I think I didn't even remember he was in that scene until you pointed it out. And when I saw the popularity poll, I was like, who the hell is that?
Well, when I saw him pop back up in the manga, I was just like, hold on a second. This guy's super familiar, and I figured it out. I was like, oh, that's who that is. It is. If I hadn't reread the series when I did, then I never would have recognized him.
And I remember the top comments like, hey, thank you guys for telling me who to kill. Fujimoto, probably. Yeah, he just kind of killed all the popular characters and just kind of left the...
I'm sure that he
Plus-
had his
Although-
direction of the characters in mind from the beginning. Don't you think?
Although Rize was
Yeah.
crossed off, and I don't really know if she died or not.
I don't understand any of those characters that are
Yeah.
like half devil, half human.
Yeah,
I don't
because they were
understand
taken
them
over
at
by
all.
Makima, and you don't know if they're dead or alive.
Yeah, like
Unless
those
they
guys
show,
are
unless they
confusing.
pop up in Chainsaw Man 2, then
Yeah, they could.
yeah.
Well, I don't really have any other like spoilers to talk about. So if you guys don't, we can just briefly talk about the chapter.
Yeah.
Cool. So the chapter is essentially the beginning of the fight with Asa
Yeah.
and
Blonde.
shoot up the schoolgirl.
Blonde-haired girl.
I don't remember her.
I guess
freaking
I don't
name.
know
Yeah,
if
I
her
can't
hair's
remember.
blonde.
I'm really bad with names.
I'm typically okay with names, but like if a character doesn't really like impress me, or I can tell they're not going to be super prominent in the story. I don't even bother to remember their names.
I guess we could talk about predictions. I mean, that's pretty much all we could talk about. Nothing really happened.
This second part of the manga, like, made me realize, like, I can't trust anybody. You think they're good
not
people.
At all.
Like, the first part, it wasn't that bad. Like, sure, Makima, but you already had your suspicions from the beginning.
Yeah, totally.
But this, like, it's like, oh, hey, I'm a nice person. No, I'm not.
I'm not. I'm a bad person.
It's like, what the hell? Stop playing with my heart.
I wanted to pour one out for the homies, the Devil Hunter Club. Those guys actually put in some work, and then they instantly died.
Yeah.
I felt so bad about that. I was like, dang, they were pretty cool. They each had like their own panels to like pop in and do something, and like all dead. Yeah. All of them. Also, rip to the person that died instantly as soon as they were running away from the school. Like, they're dead too.
She got a fucking pencil trident
right to the
trident.
Yeah.
Just.
I think it's hilarious, by the way, at the very end, the last panel, when they switch back to Asa, and it's just like, she's just reading her mind.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you can't do that. Don't do that. I thought that was hilarious.
So, my thoughts with that, I instantly went to, she's going to shoot herself or something.
Yeah, totally. That's what I thought, too.
Or jump off a building.
It was just very unique way to tell a story, and it's like the only circumstance situation that you could do something like that, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, what I think's interesting too, though, the setup is like they're friends, obviously, but like Shoot Up the Schoolgirl is wanting to help Asa by killing her bullies. And Asa's like, no, I gotta stop this girl from killing people at this school. So it's interesting because, like, now in a sense, Asa is the good guy, fighting the bad guy, even though not Asa, but the devil inside her wants to be the bad guy or kill Chainsaw Man.
All she was missing was a trench coat.
So do you think? What?
Well, maybe the demon form. If the demon form had a trench coat, they'd be like, "Oh,
well, it had tentacles, so
boy,
why not make it out of that?" Do you guys think Denji's gonna show up in the next chapter to fight, or do you think Denji's
probably
just
be watching from the sidelines, being like, I bet like it's gonna be the tentacle guy and him. It's like, what do you think? Does she have potential or something like that? Or they were just watching?
I saw somebody on one of the comment threads that I read say that Denji probably just stayed home from school because Asa was really mean to him and made fun of him and told him that she doesn't like Chainsaw Man and all that. It's like, oh, F that, I'm going to stay home. And so.
Yeah, I'm predicting that Denji's not going to show up. I think they're going to give Asa the light here.
Yeah. She's practically the main character now.
Yeah, also, though, if like she transforms, everyone's going to know. So, well, I guess the demon gave it up to Asa. She's like, okay, Asa, take over.
She doesn't really transform, though. She just...
Oh, she just
like
uses
her
people,
mind.
Right?
Yeah, she just turns things into weapons.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna stand true though. Stay with my predictions. I don't think Denji's showing up.
Did they ever say earlier? I can't remember. Did they ever say earlier that she could turn her possessions into weapons, or is this the first time we've seen it?
I'm pretty sure they said it earlier. Anything that's in their possession, they can turn into a weapon.
Well, it was on full display here. It's like, oh, that's how it works.
Because like at one point. They were saying like, I know you've like hidden all of your lots of your possessions all around the school, so you can have access at any time. I know you did this, so you could grab this and turn this into a weapon. I know you're thinking about turning my chopped off arm into a weapon and all that. So like, I think it is anything that's technically could be considered a possession. So like, I was talking to Thane about this earlier. So like, her friend would technically fall under category of possession because it's her friend, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very... I don't understand it completely. It's kind of confusing. I'd probably want to go back and reread a little bit of it, but... it's just... You can turn things into weapons. I think that's all we really need to know about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that Fujimoto is going to do a bigger reveal of her finding out that Denji's Chainsaw Man. I feel like there's going to be somewhat of a relationship between those two.
I think it's going to just be like, oh shoot, he actually is. I think it's going to be like just a completely all of a sudden it's like,
I think if he shows up, he's going to chop up a shooter girl, and then he's going to like, oh, I kind of ran out of blood. I was hunting demons earlier, and it's gonna melt off his face. And she's like, "What? You were Chainsaw Man?"
I don't think it's gonna be a big reveal.
I think
knowing Fujimoto, I think it's gonna be just like okay, I guess he is Chainsaw Man.
I think there's gonna be more of a relationship between those two before they do it.
Like before?
Yeah.
I just realized it looks like Pochita just has a prolapsed anus.
Yikes! That's his handle.
It's literally connected to his butt.
That's his handle.
It's literally a prolapse.
He's a chainsaw and
It's a prolapse connected to his dick.
See, you gotta hold him and go. Grr, grr, grr.
Yeah, but you're literally grabbing his prostate.
No, it's a handle.
What if his butthole's somewhere else?
His bum would be in between it. No, it'd probably be down here.
So the poop falls on
Probably
the
down
handle.
there. Right about.
Wait, is Pochita a boy?
He's a cute little boy.
I don't know.
Actually, I don't think
think-
devils really have gender. Power only really is female because the blood devil took over the
female body.
a female body, which it's interesting. You never actually see that process unless you do
Oh, actually, I was thinking about that today. Like, it is kind of strange. We never got a backstory for the Power's body. Like,
I wonder
what
if
her
the
body
demon
was.
just found a dead girl or a
It
dying girl
literally
in the
could
woods.
just be that, yeah.
Yeah, and the blood demon's just like.
I wouldn't even be surprised if the blood devil was the one that killed the
Yeah.
girl. Because blood devil do blood devil things.
Yeah.
That's probably obviously speaks for itself why Power is kind of a dick. Is just because that's the devil.
Yeah.
The devil's a dick.
Yeah, she's not actually human.
Yeah.
Just look human.
Big boobs.
Also, before we end, I wanted to give another reason why Power's not a best girl. She poops and doesn't flush, and she doesn't shower. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching
She's
this
a monkey.
Thank you guys for watching this episode
Can't win
of
them all.
the Chainsaw Man special episode 2. We will see you guys in the next week. Next week we'll have episode 3, and we will have the next episode of our normal Life as Daijoubu show. Yeah, look forward to that. We'll see you guys then. Have a great rest of your day. Life is
Daijoubu. We love you.
we love you.